How are you? So, creating a YouTube channel is a pretty popular idea, and I've done a fair bit of research on how people go about this. And I think there's a real trap for new people, and I count myself in that because I've only been going a couple of weeks on this channel, and that is to overspend far too early in your YouTube channel journey. And I draw a lot on my experience as an entrepreneur and creating businesses because even though you may not be interested in creating a YouTube video or YouTube channel for as a business, I think it's important to take the same sort of discipline so you don't get in over your head. And I think it's a pretty good principle um, to have no matter what you do. And what I mean by that is I have, in the last couple of weeks, simply invested no more than $30 in some pretty basic equipment, in addition to my smartphone, that I think is making a big difference um, to my video production. So right now, I've got a tripod slash selfie stick and a microphone that have really improved the quality of my videos much more than just holding my phone. So I assume that if you're wanting to build a YouTube channel, that you've got a phone and a phone with a camera. So that's pretty basic. So I assume that that's the case. But when I look at various content creators and other people on YouTube, they literally can spend thousands on so much stuff. It's mind blowing, and my head just goes into a spin. And maybe if you ever get to a point where that's something that you see as the nature of your channel, maybe it's worth investing in some of that studio gear and editing and cameras and rah rah rah. But I have a suspicion that many of us who are a bit older have basically got a story to tell, some things to say, and basically all you need is a camera and to be heard well. And I think getting a little bit more sophisticated than that can suck up your resources, and that's not a good thing. And also, going back to the idea of the business discipline, there's a thing in inventing and product development called minimal viable product, so MVP. And I think that principle applies to creating a channel as well. And that basically says you try and create, in this case, a channel and a product as cheaply as possible just to prove the concept that the channel has some value, whether it's to yourself or anyone else that might be watching. So, and that means being really careful about every dollar, every cent that you spend, and questioning, do I really need to spend all this, or is this almost about feeling like I've got to be like other people? So, in a little while, I'm actually going to show you the actual products that I bought. Um, as I said, under $30. I've also put in the description some links to Amazon where I bought them, and I do get a commission if you do buy them that way. But totally understand if you want to buy something different. But it gives you a ballpark, an idea of the sort of costs that you can spend. Um, and I think importantly, like all of us, we try different things in life, and who knows whether we're going to stick at creating content on YouTube. Um, and you shouldn't beat yourself up if you don't. But I think it makes it harder to pull out if you spend hundreds, thousands on this sort of stuff. So the microphone I bought is um, is only $11 Australian, which I don't know what that's in US, maybe $7 US. Um, and the tripod is not much more. It has gone up a little bit since I bought it, but it's 19 Australian dollars, maybe 12 or $13 US. So very, very small amount of money, but very, um, very critical, and have made quite an impact on, I think, the quality of my videos. Um, the great thing about the tripod that of my phone sitting on right here is that it's got multi-uses. So it goes up and down almost half a meter. It sits on tables, whatever. But the legs fold up into like a handle, so you can actually walk and twist it so that it can be like a gimbal, but a much cheaper gimbal. And it doesn't really um, perform much worse than a gimbal. Gimbals can cost lots of money, and this one, provided you get the kind of angle right, I think it makes a much better difference than if you just handheld the camera. Um, and amazingly, it's got a little wireless clicker where you can use that to take photos, turn the video on and off without even having to lean over and touch a button. So pretty versatile for the money you get. And once again, if you ever decide not to go ahead with the channel and you find it's not good for you, well, what have you lost? $30, and um, you know that's a good thing not to overinvest. So keep in mind that idea of the minimal viable product. I think it's pretty important, and over time, if you feel like there's better technology equipment that you think is worthwhile, well, you can invest in that. But it's sort of, there's an old motto that I learned a long time ago is do, learn, do. And that idea is you do something, like a few steps, you learn from that, then you do something more. You might do something a little bit differently from what you've learned. So it's like this cycle. You do, you learn, you do, you learn, you do, you learn. What some people do is they just do, and they don't learn. And that costs a lot of money. And I don't want that to happen to you or anyone. So, yeah, be mindful about where you put your money. Most important thing is what comes out of your mouth, what's happening between your ears. The content that you have to say is the most important thing in a YouTube video. All the rest of it is, nice, and it kind of it can become eye catchy, but it can become a distraction from really the most important thing. That's what you've got to say. So yeah, I'm going to now flick over to the actual products, and then you'll see what I've done. More information's in the description. Um, but a lot of people say that having really good audio quality is the first step to um, a good video. Cameras nowadays are so great, you know. Um, it's you're already way ahead if you've got a fairly recent camera. I've got a fairly cheap Android that I bought, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago. It doesn't even have 4K. Um, I think this is actually filming in standard definition, would you believe? But um, it does its job, and I find it pretty easy to use, and that's the main thing. I don't want to be spending lots of time on setting out spaces. Not that I have the space to create a studio and that sort of thing. And yeah, I've certainly learned over the last few weeks having a steady camera can make sure that you are not distracted by things that you don't need to attend to. You probably hear all the nature here. That's a lovely distraction, I find. The birds and the wildlife here in Melbourne. We're really blessed to be near such a natural area. Um, yeah, so I hope that's a nice distraction. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. I really think that um, it's too easy to be uh, distracted or convinced by others who really have, I think, some intentions to sell products rather than actually help you build a solid channel. Um, I think it's like I was talking to the manager at my gym the other day, and it's just turned New Year, a month into it. Would you believe it's February? And we was just saying how so many people join up in gyms in January because they've got New Year's resolutions. And that's a good thing, but they unfortunately don't stick at it. Sorry, flies are at me because it's summer here. Um, but they can spend, they can sign up for 12 months and they're committed to so much money before they've even worked out whether they have what it takes to keep at it. And there's many, many examples of that where it's great you've got the intention to create a channel. Um, I mean, I think that's an amazing step for anyone to go, you know what, I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to put myself in front of a camera like this and let my voice be heard. But at the same time, there is a trap of over committing, overspending money. Um, before you know that this is for you, before you see doing this weeks into the future, months, and probably years, that's the commitment you've got to make. Um, so yeah, remember those things: minimal viable product, do learn, do, and I think you go a long way in having some confidence that this has got some potential without breaking the bank balance. So yeah, here are the products, and I look forward to hopefully seeing your content as it emerges. Good on you. See ya. Here's the tripod that I was talking about. You can see is where you put your phone in there, and that can move around, that type of thing. And yeah, legs, and they're the ones that you see they can close up, and that becomes like a handle and a selfie stick. And you see here, this extends, so that extends quite a way, and you can walk around with it. So that's pretty handy. And there's the little clicker. You can push that out, and then the wind here, and then yeah, there's the clicker, and that can turn on and turn off a video, which is pretty handy. And here's the microphone that I bought for, what did I say, $9, $10, something like that. So it's wireless, and you'll see it actually on the end there. I've got it just pinned there, and this is what's picking up the audio from my voice right now. And I put it there a little bit away from my chest because I find that that's a good volume. Um, and that is talking to my phone as I'm holding it. These are fairly generic things. As I said, I've got an Android, so that little black black device or the connector there that goes into my USB-C. So if you've got a recent iPhone, I think they've got USB-Cs, but they've also got Apple connectors as well. And yeah, that's the thing up the top there, the microphone. It clips on your lapel, and it's pretty good. Like you can walk away from the phone up to like 20, 25 meters. So that's pretty good. Um, yeah, and I sort of work on the basis that that's $30, all that, all that stuff. And I'm just going to suck it and see, just see um, over time, do I need anything else? If so, then I'll know what that is. But I'm focusing mainly on content, and where I do learn things like this, I'm sharing it with others because, if you're starting off like me, you might find this helpful. Um, rather you save some money on things that matter. I mean, there's a cost of living crisis going on. Once you buy equipment, it's very hard to offload it or sell it. So, yeah, I hope this has been helpful, and look forward to hearing your comments down below, and yeah, maybe you've got some tips other people might value. So by all means, whack them in there, and yeah, please subscribe. You'll hear from my next video. Bye bye.